somebody that I am working with recently said, and it's been a long time coming to come to this point, I am working on managing myself around this person. When it used to be, and I hear this a lot from people, how do I manage this person? Ooh, huge difference in position, in possibility, in power, right? How do I manage myself around this person is a radically different question than how do I manage this person? Because people, one, don't want to be managed. It's a little bit insulting, and if you try to manage somebody who doesn't want to be managed, they're going to become unmanageable, obviously. I'm sure you can relate to that to some degree. So I believe that we can train people. I sadly believe that, I shouldn't say sadly, gratefully believe that I've quote unquote changed my mother. And I changed my life. I watch people do this all the time. I wrote about it in Earn Your Luck. I changed the relationships I have with my core people by changing my nervous system, my cognitions, my energy around them. When you don't give somebody the power to be in control of your fear responses, you're in a different body, so that makes you be in a different position to actually create a change in the system. So how do you change people? How do you manage people? Well, here's how. You manage yourself around them. When you can learn to become non-reactive, and that is not meaning stonewalling, that is not meaning anything. It is to recognize, oh, this is just, again, it is what it is. This is who this person is. And I don't have to believe them. I don't have to agree with them. I don't have to become like them. And I don't have to separate from them. See, that's a big thing that like drives me nuts. And the like, I understand that it is easier to physically separate from people. Duh. But that's not lasting healing, right? It's not, if these are your family of origin, it might change you, and then it'll be something that shows up in your kids where they're separating from you and you're going, wait, what? I was so different than my mother. This doesn't even make sense, right? That's just the nature of the law of the universe. So I personally believe that lasting healing comes from being in actual relationships with, and sometimes in some chapters, let me just say this, if something is like literally unworkable, pay attention and don't try to work it. But you know that by if you are unworkable in that system, not if they are unworkable, right? People can be a super big pain in the ass, and some people have the tolerance to work with them because they know how to work with themselves. If you are dealing with somebody that you become unmanageable around, that's a different story, right? Either way, you are the thing that you're trying to manage in the presence of that person. So when you can manage your own self, your own responses, your own reflections, you teach them something. My mother grew up watching her father beat the piss out of her mother, be sexually inappropriate with all of them. I'll just say it like that, for, whatever. Incredibly, let me just say that also. And they all worshipped him. The whole system revolved around his moods, his everything. She didn't stand a chance at knowing softness, knowing how to relate to the world. She didn't have a mother. Her mother was always under the fist of her father. So she didn't have a father. And what she'd learned was that women are weak and men are, you have to do what they say or else you're going to be in big trouble. So find one and make sure that he's a person that you're willing to listen to for the rest of your life. She didn't stand a chance at knowing. She wasn't taught how to be a person. She wasn't taught how to be a human. She wasn't taught anything outside of the codependent narcissistic frequency. And that shit'll make you crazy. And normal people are like, what? I have no idea what you're talking about. That just sounds insane. Like, why would anybody engage? But that was her whole life, right? And that was my whole life because that was her whole life. And the stories that I heard from very young ages, it's like, even like she would hit me, and this is the ultimate gaslight, right? She would be hitting me, and in a quote unquote, her own words, blind rage. And she would say she can't control it. And then I would say, what did I do? Why are you hitting me? And she would say, you don't even know what it's like to get hit. And I would be like, what? Like, right? Like, the ultimate gaslight is in those moments, and those moments happened a lot in various ways. She didn't stand a chance at normalcy because she wasn't taught. And when a lot of times a codependent will go, why do I always have to be the bigger person? Why do I always have to do this? I'm changing for everybody. In this part of the work, you're changing for yourself. Because when you change, the whole systems around your mirror changes. Everything in your life changes. What you attract changes. What you see changes. And it's because you are more expansive from the inside. You've created territory inside of yourself beyond the narcissistic codependent frequency. And when we see a different way, that's the thing that like always pains me the most, the contrast. When I'm like, oh, these people had normal parents. Their parents give them money. They had that must be easy. That contrast is insane to me because that is not the world I've come from. So I would judge that world, right? And when that's like the world I wanted to get into, but from that resistance of that world, because I didn't know it, I hooked up with a whole bunch of people who only understood the codependent narcissistic frequency. And it's a lonely ride to kind of unhook from all of that, because then you're in big territory. Now it's vast. Now you've never it's a cave that you stepped out of, and now you're walking around in the light, which can feel very exposing. I wrote about that in Earn Your Luck, which, by the way, is out. So check it out, please, if you haven't, if you grew up on the codependent narcissistic paradigm. So I guess I'm just going to keep it short and sweet. The way to change people is not to manage them. That thought in and of itself is resistance and will create resistance in them to become unmanageable, right? That's like trying to domesticate a wild horse. People who you feel the need to manage, just don't do it. Don't do it, dude, because and if you've been a person who's tried to be managed, you will buck. If you're attracted to my channel, you will rebel against that attempt at management, at least in some chapters and phases of your life. And, that's not going to be your person. So the way to change people, the way to change other people's reactions to you, it's very easy. It's so easy. I could still be like, I can't believe my baby daddy does this, or I can't believe my mom does this. It's like, oh, well, guess what? Now I expect it. Now I'm like, oh, she's doing that thing again. And because I can see it with a my nervous system isn't so, how do I want to say this? Like, it's not so attached to their reality, right? And I think that's an issue a lot of us have. We attach to people's reality. Like, I used to go to work and then I'd come home and think about all of the terrible stories that my clients told me, all of the things that were going on in the psych ward that I just thought were inappropriate. And we attach to other people's realities in a different way when our nervous system is going, I have to fight or flight or freeze or do something on behalf of somebody else, which if you were raised by narcissists, that's what it feels like. You have to do things on behalf of somebody else, period. That's your job. It's just what you do, right? So when you can get into your own nervous system and go, ooh, that's what I love and also hate about my partner, Chris. He's really interested in maintaining his own autonomy in his nervous system. He prioritizes sleep. He prioritizes things that in my family, you were a pussy if you did, right? So I even feel weird around having him around my parents because I'm assuming that they're like, oh, this guy's a bitch, blah, blah, blah. Just because he is absolutely no bullshit about prioritizing his biological rhythm. It's very important to him that he be in control of his own comfort. But comfort wasn't allowed where I was growing up. If you were comfortable, that meant something was, you were lazy. That's pretty much how it went. So when you can be in your own nervous system and you can be with your cognitions and really focus on your experience instead of what they're experiencing and how could they do this and blah, 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 but just see, oh yeah, that's what they're doing. That actually happens. You get to a phase where you go, oh, that's just what they're doing. That's just what she said. She just called me fat. That's just what she said, right? And the fun part is some people say, oh, I'm going to cut this person off. In my experience, the more you teach someone how to be a human, even if that person's your parent, which isn't your job, no, but I think on a planetary level, if you're attracted to my channel, it kind of is, because you're here to be a game changer. When you teach them that that's wrong, some people actually don't know. And if you're trying to teach them from a resistant place, like you're wrong and you're bad, they're never going to hear you. They're never going to hear you when you resist what they are and try to tell them that they're wrong. But when you see what they are and you don't resist it, and you show them another way, they change. And the only way you can do that is if you change first, by really, being in acceptance of your own nervous system, your own reactions, claiming them as your own, and then with the presence of somebody else, when they are reactive, you remaining in your own space, calm, non-reactive, but a way shower. It's like literally dealing as a kindergarten teacher. It's what you're dealing with. And no, you shouldn't have to, but guess what? If you want to love the people you love and you actually want to create change in your life in a way that feels miraculous and healing, you would not even believe how many times a week I hear, I never thought it would be possible to have this relationship with my parent. I never ever thought it would be possible to have this relationship with my daughter. I hear it all the time. And it's because people are doing the work of really actually self-witnessing, and then from a non-reactive state teaching. That's how we train people. Teaching them, showing people how to treat you is a means of basically being a kindergarten teacher and going, this is what we do, this is what's appropriate. Most of these people have never learned. And yeah, we had to learn ourselves. So what? There's an advantage to that in a weird way, because who's in there then, it's like not like, and I can get all pissy about people that have parents that love them and give them money, but I'm sure it doesn't also feel the same as knowing who you are with the contrast of being somebody who doesn't have that and figures out how to love from the inside out instead of be loved from the outside in. One feels way more powerful. So I hope this was helpful. We're not here to manage. We're here to experience and to witness our own experiencing. And from that place, your intuition is just intact enough to teach. And from that place, the people around you who are saying unbelievable things or doing unbelievable things, they learn something. And when they learn, they transcend the state that you're wishing that you would not be witnessing. But you can't witness that state from a place of resistance. You got to accept that's what they are. That's where they are, I should say, not what they are. All right. Bye. Have a great day.